First of all, there's several reasons for having the hat rule here. First of all, the hat rule requires that students, both boys and girls, take off their hats when they enter the building. It's not a situation where you walk to your locker or walk to your classroom. The rule is that when you enter the building that you take your hat off. And there's two reasons for that. First of all, it's a security issue. We have 1,400 to 1,500 students coming into the building. We have a lot of different adults, and so therefore it's imperative that we be able to identify individuals if there is an issue. If people have hats on, then it makes it difficult in some cases to identify who the individual is if we do have a problem. The second part of this is, at least from my generation, I'm going to date myself here, but from my generation, it has always been a matter of courtesy. When you enter a church, when you enter a home, a building, a school, that you take your hat off when you're inside. That's just something that has, I think, maybe seems to be going away or have been lost. But it's a matter of courtesy for individuals when they come into a building or someone's home. In addition to that, it always used to be that when you came in the presence of a woman or a lady, a gentleman would take his hat off. But I think that is pretty much now by the boards, but at least we're requesting that the students, primarily I think for the safety issue, to remove their hats, and once again, that it's for both boys and girls, for their own safety and for the safety of the students and the faculty and staff here. Well, anything that would cover the head, actually even a hood sometimes could be even, I would say create more of a security problem because it covers more of the face and the head. So anything that covers the head, whether it's a hat, a cap, a hood, is supposed to be removed or taken off when they enter the building. Well, then you get into the issue of trying to determine what hats are acceptable and what are not, and then you're constantly telling students, well, this is, you've got two people that are walking down the hall, both of them have hats on, and say, okay, well, you can keep your hat on, but you have to take yours off. And so it's just, much easier to, have a clear-cut across the board rule that will apply to everybody.
Potomac Falls family. I just wanted to take a moment to go over with what our electronic rules are. First of all, we really need to thank administration for being so gracious, because a lot of schools you don't get this privilege. So what we need to do is make sure you remember you can only use your electronic devices in the hallway between classes and in the cafeteria. You may use an electronic device if a teacher allows you and gives you permission in his or her own class. The other thing you have to remember is no two teachers are alike. You have to respect the teacher who you are in. So I may say it's okay to have an electronic device in my room, and Mrs. Christmas may say she doesn't want you to have one. You have to respect Mrs. Christmas' desire, or you all may lose the privilege of being able to have an electronic device at all. No, ma'am, you may not, because what you have to remember is, although you're on your way to cafeteria for lunch, there are classes that are still in session. So if you're in the hallway talking, you're going to be disturbing the teachers and the students who are in class. Okay, definitely a no. If you get caught in the hallway using your phone on your way to the bathroom or to guidance or to the office, you remember we have cameras, so they're roaming and they know what you're doing at all times. So you're going to make it so that you all lose the privilege of having the phones even in the hallway. So I say, let's follow those rules. In the hall, between classes, with teacher permission, not on the way to the bathroom, cafeteria, or guidance. And in that way, we can keep that privilege.
Well, Flex is actually a quiet study time where you can get extra help or make up missed assignments.
Really? And what if a teacher tries to teach new material on Flex?
Well, actually, they're not allowed to do that. However, they can teach old material or review old material, and they can also have you finish something that you didn't finish last class.
What? No way!
Yeah.
How cool!
Your homeroom teacher actually has to give you permission first.
Alright guys, a couple of last things to think about. So as you can see, this Panther Bites video was really about just a touching base, start a second semester, halfway through the year, and making sure we remember all the important things we need to be thinking about as the rest of the year progresses. So I'm going to go back and touch on hats very quickly and just remind you about all the things that Mr. Chrisman told you. And we've spent the first half of the year asking you to take your hats and your hoods and all that stuff off. And so the second half of the year, quite frankly, I know for myself, and I probably speak for all the administrators, when I ask you to take your hat off, I'm going to take it, okay? And I'm going to hold on to it until the end of the school year, because I'm hoping that by saying that, that will remind those of you who are the frequent flyers with your hats in the hallways, especially to make sure that you take them off. Again, as Mr. Chrisman said, teacher discretion in your classroom, but when you're in the hallways, cafeterias, library, etc., all over the building besides classrooms, it's the expectation that your hat's off. So again, I think it's fair. First half of the year, lots of warnings over and over again. Second half of the year, take your hat off. I'll hold on to it until the end of the year. That way we don't have that issue anymore. Flex, I think we got everything covered. I think we got everything covered with electronic devices. I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't go back to the screamers from the start of the year, the big ones, you know, drugs, alcohols, any kind of substances and what happens there. And you guys remember all of that. You know what happens when you come to school with it or under the influence of it. It's one of the few things in this district that will make sure that you don't come back to school for a long time. So I hope that you continue to make the good choices every day about that. Same thing with weapons. And remember, at the beginning of the year, I reminded you, oftentimes you bring something to school, like a little pocket knife or something that you just forgot about. And when you find it, you don't think to bring it to a teacher or an adult. And then somebody else finds it on you. And once that happens, again, the suspensions for weapons, whether you meant to bring them or not, whether you meant to do anything bad with them or not, are pretty harsh. So make sure that you're being very aware of the things that you bring to school every day. Check your pockets, check your backpack, etc. And then finally, I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about electronics from a different angle. I want to talk to you a little bit about Facebook. I kind of had an epiphany the other day. You hear a lot of adults in this world talk about Facebook in two different ways. One, their own personal use of it, which is very different than the way that you all use it. And two, the use of Facebook by folks your age. And we had a situation the other day where we were aware of some Facebook things happening and some threats being made and that kind of thing. And I got really frustrated because I said, gosh, I feel like every time I hear about Facebook, it's a teenager doing something negative with it, whether they're saying something negative or terrible, using really foul language, making threatening remarks, you know, putting up videos of people who would never want videos to be seen of them, or whatever it is. And I found myself making this generalized statement in my head about the fact that teenagers just use Facebook for such negativity. And then I caught myself and realized, hold on a second. That's a very true statement. It is a very true statement, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think an equally true statement is that there are plenty of teenagers who use Facebook very positively. And the tough part is that that just isn't often in front of adults. It's just not often something that comes to our attention. So I'm committed to the idea that there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you at this school who use Facebook very positively. And I've decided to set out to prove it. I want to prove it to myself and to other adults and to my colleagues and other people in education who see a lot of the negativity that, you know what, Facebook is a positive place for teenagers. They do use it for a lot of good reasons. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to issue a challenge to you guys. I have my own personal Facebook page that I would never friend students with because it's my own personal page. But I've started, as of last Thursday evening, I went home after all of this, after my epiphany, and I built a new Facebook page. And it is under my first and last name, Janice Kozlowski. And everything about it says Potomac Falls, where I went to school, college. I just entered Potomac Falls so that it would come up when you all are on Facebook and looking around. And I started it as a kind of a Potomac Falls based Facebook page for me, because I wanted a way that you all could friend me appropriately. And here's why. I don't expect you to be best buddies with me on Facebook. But I do want a place where those of you who are using Facebook very positively and very appropriately can prove it. And the way you prove it is simply this. If you're so inclined, friend me on that Facebook page. And that means that basically from now to the end of the year, obviously any postings that you put up, etc., on your page will be things that I will see in my newsfeed. And I'll be keeping an eye on it. But what I'll be looking for is those of you who have trends of just using it for positive things. If you friend me and you're using it positively all year, like I think most of you are doing, then at the end of the year, we're going to figure out some way to have some kind of a Facebook celebration for all of you who are doing that. It's probably not going to be anything major, you know, pizza party, whatever, but in that last couple of weeks of school, we will celebrate those of you who are using Facebook positively. And again, by that I mean, you know, not using really vulgar language that you wouldn't use in front of your parents, and not being mean to each other, and not posting things that would be inappropriate, etc. That you're being responsible and positive with it. So we'll find a way to celebrate you. On my end, what I will do is use that page to post just stuff about Potomac Falls. And I know there are lots of like club pages and that kind of thing, but this will be generic. You know, for example, if you go on right now and friend me, you'll see that I was at the district swim meet on Friday, and a couple of pictures from that. I linked an interview that the Loudon Times Mirror did with our girls relay team, stuff like that. And you know, if you have stuff from Potomac Falls that you put up, I think that's great too. All that, you know, again, very appropriate stuff. So that's my challenge. It's like I said, it's an epiphany I had last week. I'm hoping you guys will join me. I figure the worst thing that can happen is I'll have like 2 friends, and if so, then, you know, I get it, it's okay. But I want to see if we can prove something here, and I think this could be big, because even in the news, all you hear about is Facebook and how negative it is, and this is a chance for Potomac Falls to prove that it's a very, very positive place as well, and you can help me do that. So there's my Facebook challenge to you. With that, I'm going to sign off for now, and just best wishes for a really, really outstanding second semester. Thanks, guys.